Do you often get as confused as I do about training plans? I often find it hard to know whether I should be banging out interval sessions or doing a nice, easy, chilled run. That was until I discovered the 80-20 rule, and you might already be implementing it. The 80-20 rule, in short, refers to the percentage of training that you'll be doing per week, with 80% of your training being at lower intensities and 20% of your training being at higher intensities. While you might think you need to push the pace in every single run, that could actually be detrimental to your training, and the majority of your training should feel easy and chilled. Going too hard too often in your training can lead to fatigue, and that will affect you negatively when you come to do those PB attempts or harder sessions. This stems from a growing body of research into 80-20 running. While running slow to get faster has been around for decades, American sports scientist Stephen Seiler was the first to pinpoint the 80-20 split when studying elite athletes in the early 2000s. Seiler noticed that elite athletes completed most of their training runs below race pace, meaning that they felt fresher for them harder training sessions. This still stands today, with marathon world record holder Eliud Kipchoge still using 80-20 in his training, and he hasn't done too bad, has he? But just something to bear in mind, that despite Seiler's research, the 80-20 rule doesn't just apply to elite athletes. The 80 doesn't mean that you have to run 80 kilometers at lower intensities, and the 20 doesn't mean that you have to run 20 kilometers at higher intensities. This can still apply to you if you are a new runner or you are coming back from an injury. The rule is 80-20 as a percentage, not as a distance. Let's break it down. As mentioned before, the 80% in the 80-20 rule refers to 80% of your weekly training runs, which should be done at an easy pace. In other words, that means you can have a nice conversational chat with a friend while you are running. Of course, your easy pace is unique to you, so don't base your pace on someone else. If you're unsure what to run your low intensity runs at, then make sure you check out this video here for all the information that you're going to need. The 80% of your weekly training can also include things that aren't running, so lower intensity exercises like cycling or jumping on the elliptical. These can be especially useful if you're building back from a running related injury or you just want to mix things up a little bit. As for the 20, well, that's 20% of your training runs that should be done at higher intensities. I'm talking things like interval sessions where you are really raising your heart rate and you're working hard, essentially to the point where you can't speak, let alone have a conversation while running. Higher intensity running makes use of power generating fast twitch muscle fibers and helps you build a stronger heart. It can also help boost your cardiovascular fitness and the ability to keep going strong when it starts to get tough. But these higher intensity workouts do put a lot of strain on your body, which is why you should only do them once or twice a week, whatever constitutes your 20%, and you should never do them back to back. Okay, let's take a look at your training. Are you already an 80-20 runner? Many amateur runners, including myself when I first started out, would do all my runs at a moderate pace, therefore hitting the middle ground and reaching a plateau far quicker. So let's face it, we've all been there. The best way to get around that though is to nail the 80-20 to a T, making sure there's a clear distinction between your easy runs and your higher intensity runs to get the intensity ratio just right. Say you run 3 days a week. What does that look like when you implement the 80-20 rule? Firstly, the first run of the week can be something like a 5K at a nice easy intensity, with the second run of the week being 8K, split between 2K warm-up, 4K just above threshold pace, and another 2K cooldown. Then your final run of the week can be 7K, again at an easy intensity. This means that 16K, your 80%, will be done at lower intensities, while 4K, your 20%, will be done at higher intensities. So what about if you're running 5 times a week? Here's an example of what that week could look like. The first run of the week can be a nice and easy 8K, and the second run of the week could be 4 times 1 kilometer intervals with 500 meters recovery in between. You want to sandwich that between a 3K warm-up and a 3K cooldown. The third run of the week is just a repeat of the first run of the week with a nice and easy 8K again. The fourth run being 6 kilometers at threshold pace, and the fifth and final run being something like an easy 16 kilometer run. That will make up a 50 kilometer training week, with 40 kilometers being your 80% at lower intensities and 10 kilometers being your 20% at higher intensities. The great thing is, even within a single workout, you can still hit those 80-20 intensities. Let's have a look at an example of someone training for a marathon. Their workout could be something like 6 times 800 meters with 400 meter recoveries. The 800 meter reps will have you working beyond your threshold level, and they will be at higher intensities, while the 400 meter recoveries, my personal favorite bit of the workout, will have you working at lower intensities while you dip your pace right down. You do also want to add something like a 3K warm-up and a 3K cooldown to add some more lower intensity running into the mix. Altogether, this workout involves 13.2 kilometers of running, with 36% of that being the high intensity reps and the remaining 64% of that making up the cool down, warm up, and the 400-meter recoveries in between. So in this session alone, you're not only ticking off a bulk of your hard running for the week, but you're also ticking off a solid part of your easy running. It all adds up. There is no perfect training formula, but well executed 80-20 running will see you reap many rewards. Firstly, the easy 80% can improve your cardiovascular, your respiratory, and your muscular systems. It has also been linked with improved endurance, which can help support you when you're doing your long distance running. As well as this, it improves your bone health, your ligament, your tendons, and your joint health, and can reduce the risk of injuries, which is often associated with running too hard, too long. All this easy running primes you to perform better on your 20% of those harder sessions, meaning you can get the most out of your speed sessions and perform better on race day. If it's good enough for running legends like Eliud Kipchoge, then 80-20 training is definitely good enough for you and me. While research into training methods is still ongoing, it seems that the 80-20 rule is getting a massive thumbs up right now. It suggests that running slower the majority of the time could be an effective way to get quicker for those standout sessions and races, and it could be your ticket to get a brand new shiny PB. If you enjoyed this video, then why not check out our top tips preparing for a run? Click the video right here to see our favorite ways to warm up.